It's said that Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck are getting a divorce due to crazy demands and rules Jen has set up for Ben. She's put him on a strict diet, doesn't let him speak to women, and she wants to force him to have a baby. Now everyone is appalled at how controlling she is and is happy that Ben is finally getting out. You see, back in May, Ben moved out of their Beverly Hills home and has been staying in a house in Brentwood. He's also been seen occasionally without his wedding ring on. Now on the other side, J-Lo ended up canceling her world tour to spend time with her family and friends, aka to work on her marriage with Ben. But the pair have not been spotted together too much though. They didn't spend Mother's Day together, and Ben did not attend the Met Gala that Jennifer was a co-chair at. Now when they were spotted together at Ben's son's basketball game, things were awkward between the two. They were caught by Paps embracing and trying to share a kiss, but it was just so awkward and weird. Now J-Lo has also been posting some content on her social media that has raised some eyebrows about betrayal and moving on. Not to mention that the couple have put their $60 million mansion up for sale, which isn't a good sign at all. So what will happen to Bennifer? It seems like no one really knows. Now we have Justin Timberlake being arrested. Back in June, Justin Timberlake got arrested for driving under the influence. Sources connected to law enforcement told TMZ that Justin was at the American Hotel partying, and almost immediately after he left and began driving, he blew a stop sign. Now cops saw that and began to follow him, and it's then been said that Justin began swerving and the cops pulled him over. TMZ sources say cops performed a field sobriety test and asked Justin to do a breathalyzer test, but he refused. As for the traffic stop, law enforcement sources said cops observed Justin glassy-eyed, and they say they smelled alcohol on his breath. They said that he failed the field sobriety test when asked to do a one-legged stand and walk and turn. Now it's also been said that several of Justin's friends came on the scene and tried to convince the cops to cut him a break, but they refused. Now in the end, Justin was handcuffed and arrested, and the whole incident was recorded on a police officer's body cam. He was then charged with 1 count of DWI and cited for running a stop sign and failure to keep in his lane. Now we have Brad Pitt's behavior. A lot of eyes have been on Brad Pitt, as it's been revealed that he wasn't the loving family man everyone thought he was when he was married to Angelina Jolie. An FBI report said that Angelina and Brad were traveling with their children in September 2016 on a 2-week trip that ended in Los Angeles International Airport. Now Brad appeared to take issue with Jolie's parenting during the flight, and they retreated to the back of the plane to continue an argument. According to the report, Angelina said he attacked her before punching the ceiling of the plane repeatedly. Now one child saw the altercation and asked Angelina if she was alright. According to the report, "No, mommy's not okay," Brad allegedly yelled back. "She's ruining this family, she's crazy." Now after further physical altercation between them both, Brad spilled wine and beer on furniture and Angelina. Not to mention recently, 3 of his children have been dropping Pitt from their name, and one of them even did it legally. With all this information coming out, people are finally starting to turn against the star. Now we have Tiger Woods' cheating scandal. Tiger Woods was one of the best golfers in the world, but made a mistake that proved to be fatal for his career. Now Tiger became engaged to Ellen Nordegren, a Swedish former model, in November 2003, and they married in 2004. They had 2 children together, but in 2009, cheating scandal after cheating scandal was exposed with Tiger. More than a dozen women stepped forward claiming to have had affairs with him. Now when all was said and done, Tiger admitted to sleeping with multiple women, which he later specified was 120. Now it was reported that Tiger allegedly had a months-long affair with a New York City nightclub host, and days and months following this report, more than a dozen women claimed in various media outlets to have had affairs with him. Now he lied about everything before finally confessing to cheating in a televised statement. After 6 years of marriage, his wife Ellen divorced him, which makes a lot of sense. After the news broke, sponsors immediately cut ties with him, and he was out tens of millions of dollars almost overnight. Now everyone was disgusted with his behavior, and he's been trying to rebuild his brand ever since. Now we have Amber Heard. In 2022, Amber Heard and her ex Johnny Depp had a lawsuit that was watched around the world. Now Amber exposed things about how Johnny mistreated her, and a lot of people didn't believe her, and since the trial, she's become one of the most hated people in the world. Now petitions Accusations were started to get her removed from her projects, and due to this, she's now moved permanently to a new home outside of Madrid. She's bilingual in Spanish and is happy there, raising her daughter away from the noise, a source said in May 2023. I don't think she's in any hurry to return to work or Hollywood, but she'll probably come back when the time is right for the right project. Now listen, I don't blame her for moving somewhere else. The trial was covered heavily and she was made aware that pretty much all of the internet hated her, and after going through something as traumatic as that, it doesn't surprise me that she wants to step out of the limelight. Now we'll just have to see if she ever comes back to Hollywood or if anyone will ever want to work with her again. Now we have Meghan Markle's relationship with her father. Now Meghan Markle has been cancelled multiple times, but it mostly started when it came to her wedding and her father. Meghan's relationship with her estranged father Thomas came under intense media scrutiny as soon as she and Prince Harry announced their engagement in November 2017. In May 2018, just days before the wedding, Thomas teamed up with Jeff Rayner from the Coleman Rayner Photography Agency in Los Angeles to stage photos related to Thomas's wedding preparations. Then, after the photo mishap with her dad, it seems that Thomas made it worse when he sold a private letter Meghan wrote to him. Meghan wrote a private letter to her dad pleading with him to stop cooperating with the press. In it, Meghan said she felt absolutely blindsided by the pain her father was puppeteered into creating by the media. Now, at the end of her letter, Meghan begged Thomas to please stop lying, please stop creating so much pain, please stop exploiting my relationship with my husband, and please stop taking bait from the press. But Thomas did the exact opposite. Now, he sold this letter to the Mail on Sunday, and the site published it for the world to see even more Markle family secrets. Now we have James Corden's behavior. In 2022, James Corden was exposed for being rude and demanding at a restaurant, and he was temporarily banned from there. In an Instagram post, Keith McNally, the owner of celebrity hotspot Balthazar, explained how James had berated his employees on multiple occasions and called the TV personality a tiny cretin of a human, and detailed 2 incidents of Corden's behavior as a customer. The first account claims that the talk show host was extremely nasty in his demands of Balthazar's manager, reportedly demanding the employee to take care of his drinks so that James would not write any nasty reviews on Yelp or anything like that. Now, another alleged outburst occurred when Corden was dissatisfied with his wife's omelet, and according to the Instagram post, he began yelling like crazy to the server, "You can't do your job, you can't do your job, maybe I should go into the kitchen and cook the omelet myself." Now, after this was revealed, the post went viral and James was forced to address the comments. James said, "The truth is, I have made a rude comment, and it was wrong, it was an unnecessary comment, it was ungracious to the server." And since then, other people have spoken out about his unacceptable behavior. And, to be honest, this doesn't surprise me, as I've always had a kind of weird feeling about him. Now hopefully now he realizes that manners and how you treat other people are important, and now the owner later rescinded his ban on James, explaining on Instagram that the late night star had called and apologized profusely to him and his staff. And finally, we have the college scandal. Lori Loughlin was convicted of conspiracy to commit fraud in 2020 and served 2 months in jail for her part in the 2019 admissions scandal. Now, in the scandal, wealthy parents paid bribes to get their children accepted into prestigious universities. Lori and her husband paid $500,000 to get their 2 daughters into the University of Southern California as members of the college rowing team, despite neither of the girls ever rowing before. Now, they even staged photos for this. Lori ended up being caught in the lies and pleading guilty to conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud, and was sentenced to 2 months in prison, receive a $150,000 fine, 2 years probation, and 250 hours of community service. Now, when she was first accused, she was fired from the Full House reboot, Fuller House, as well as from One Calls the Heart. Now, Felicity Huffman was also involved in the college admissions scandal, along with her husband William H. Macy. Felicity made a so-called charitable contribution of $15,000 to participate in the college entrance exam cheating scheme on behalf of her eldest daughter, Sophia Grace May. Now, the Desperate Housewives actress and her husband then made arrangements to do the same for their younger daughter, but later decided against it. After she pleaded guilty to fraud charges, she was sentenced to 14 days in prison. She then had to publicly apologize for her role in the scandal, admitting that she paid to improve her daughter's SAT scores. Now, Felicity and Lori were among dozens of wealthy wealthy parents who were charged with participating in schemes to bribe coaches and university insiders or cheat on entrance exams.
First off, we have Jonah Hill. After the actor's ex-girlfriend Sarah Brady accused Jonah of being emotionally toxic and a misogynist narcissist, it prompted Zoe 101 star Alexa Nicholas to come forward with her own allegations against Jonah, according to The Independent. After reading Sarah Brady's admirable post about Jonah Hill, I just gotta say, when I was 16, I got invited to a house party at Justin Long's house, she posted on X, and Jonah, without my consent, shoved his tongue down my throat. I was appalled, I pushed him off of me, and then I ran inside. Starting on July 7th, Sarah Brady, a surf instructor and model, shared multiple screenshots of toxic texts sent from her ex, Jonah Hill. This is a warning to all girls, she says. If your partner is talking to you like this, make an exit plan. Call me if you need an ear. Brady captioned one post. She also shared text messages that allegedly showed Jonah requesting that she remove surfing photos from her Instagram account that showed her, quote, butt in a thong. In one post dated December 2nd, 2021, Jonah is alleged to have written to Brady, if you need surfing with men, boundaryless inappropriate friendships with men, to model, to post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, to post inappropriate pictures, friendships with women who are in unstable places and from your wild recent past, beyond just getting a lunch or coffee or something respectful, I am not the right partner for you, he said. Next up, we have Lizzo. 3 of Lizzo's former dancers have accused the singer of harassment and creating a hostile work environment. They also allege that she pressured one of them to touch a nude performer at an Amsterdam club and subjected the group to an excruciating audition after leveling false accusations that they were drinking on the job. The dancers accused Lizzo, a performer known for embracing body positivity and celebrating her physique, of calling attention to one dancer's weight gain and later berating, then firing that dancer after she recorded a meeting because of a health condition. The lawsuit, filed in Los Angeles Superior Court and provided to NBC News, also accuses the captain of Lizzo's dance team of deriding those who had premarital intercourse while sharing lewd fantasies and publicly discussing the virginity of one of the plaintiffs. The lawsuit does not say if Lizzo knew about the allegations linked to the dance captain, but the plaintiffs believe the singer was aware of their complaints about her, according to their lawyer. Next, we have Ariana Grande. Just because we learned that Ariana is dating her Wicked co-star Ethan Slater a mere 3 days after news broke that Grande was splitting from husband Dalton Gomez doesn't mean the timeline was equally as rushed, right? Well, according to sources, it appears Grande was still working on her relationship with Dalton when she flew to the UK to film the musical movie Wicked in December 2022, though a source told Us Weekly that the couple were having issues and the distance did not help. Meanwhile, Grande's alleged new boyfriend, who is known for playing SpongeBob on Broadway and will be playing the Munchkin Bach in Wicked, was also in a committed relationship when the filming began. In fact, Ethan Slater had been married to high school sweetheart Lily J since 2018 and welcomed his first child with her sometime in 2022. Rumors that Ariana and Ethan had been cheating on their partners began circling, and fans are not having it. One Reddit user wrote, quote, "She is a 30-year-old grown woman. Zero excuses for being a homewrecker. That man had a newborn baby. Selfish beyond measure." Adding, "A newborn and wife whom Ariana hung out with on multiple couples outings. The wife considered her a friend." Another user wrote a detailed thread on the situation saying, "For the past couple years, she'll do anything to preserve her happiness at any cost, even when it's messed up. It was inevitable that she was going to get divorced before she got married, and she has a long pattern of not being able to be single and going from one guy to the next. The one time she was single, she threw herself into work, and as soon as her tour was over, she was with somebody else. The Ethan Slater thing is messed up and inexcusable because of the fact that he has a child. I genuinely believe that the biggest root of all of it, not even her unresolved trauma, is the fact that all the people in her life life, whether it's her team of 10 plus years, her stage mom and her half-brother, or even her childhood friends who rely on her and are thus always supportive yes men. Next up, we have Nikki Tutorials, who exposed Ellen DeGeneres. YouTuber Nikki Tutorials has spoken out again about how she was treated on The Ellen Show. According to Pop Crave, she was greeted by an angry, overworked intern and then not given the same VIP treatment as the other guests. She said she wasn't allowed to use the bathroom closest to her because it was, quote, reserved for the Jonas Brothers. She appeared on the show just months after she came out as transgender in an emotional YouTube video. In a subsequent interview with a Dutch talk show, she suggested that Ellen was, quote, cold and distant when the cameras were turned off. Next up, we have Colleen Ballinger. Fellow YouTuber Trisha Paytas exposed Colleen for her insane behavior. The 35-year-old confirmed that her and Colleen Ballinger's oversharing podcast was coming to an end after just 3 episodes. Trisha opened up about the decision to cancel the podcast following the allegation from a former fan of Colleen's, Johnny Silvestri, who said that Colleen had previously sent him NSFW photos and videos of Trisha from her OF while making fun of her. Trisha said that she reached out to Colleen about the allegations and she denied them. This is all very embarrassing, Trisha said in her July 9th, 2023 YouTube video. It's very embarrassing at the end of the day. I don't get embarrassed by many things, obviously, but the podcast ending after 3 episodes is embarrassing. The podcast, which premiered May 2023, released its last episode on June 6th, days after allegations of Colleen forming inappropriate relationships with fans surfaced. In late June 2023, Colleen responded with a 10-minute ukulele song where she admitted previous wrongdoings but denied doing anything wrong with her fans. Of the whole experience, Trisha reiterated, "Us doing all this is embarrassing. It takes a lot for me to get embarrassed. When I say I've never wanted a chapter in my life to be over faster than this," Trisha continued, "even though it was a very small chapter, I mean it." Next up, we have Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg's history of racially motivated attacks have resurfaced after the actor was accused of hypocrisy for sharing a post supporting Black Lives Matter. Many commenters accused Wahlberg of hypocrisy given his history of using racial slurs and hate crimes as a teenager. The Independent has approached Wahlberg's representatives for comments on these accusations with no response. While living in Boston in the 1980s, Mark was twice charged for race-related crimes, serving time in jail for one of the attacks. Yikes. Next up, we have Dave Chappelle. Following the end of the Chappelle Show, Dave Chappelle went on an extended break and only made occasional appearances in the media. That changed, however, around the mid-2010s when he started regularly doing stand-up once again. However, this return has been married in various controversies, with the comedian making some ill-advised jokes throughout his specials. In 2021, The Closer was released on Netflix to mixed reviews and widespread controversy. Chappelle was accused of making transphobic remarks, and the special caused various Netflix employees to walk off the job in protest. Regardless, Chappelle continues his stand-up career. In 2022, he headlined 4 nights at the Hollywood Bowl and hosted Saturday Night Live. Next up, let's discuss Roseanne Barr. Barr made headlines when it was revealed that her long-running and beloved sitcom Roseanne was returning to the airwaves. However, that highly anticipated return did not last long. Just 2 months after the season debuted in 2018 to enormous success, Barr tweeted a racist insult aimed at government official Valerie Jarrett. The Roseanne revival was swiftly axed by ABC, and Roseanne Barr largely disappeared from the public spotlight. She was notably excluded from The Conners, a follow-up to the sitcom. However, the actress now seems to be trying to revive her career, as in 2023 she delivered a brand new comedy special on Fox. Next up, we have Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer was on the come-up throughout the 2010s, starring in the likes of The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Call Me By Your Name. The latter earned him widespread attention and praise, and he was even nominated for a Golden Globe for his work in it. But in January 2021, various allegations were were made against him, claiming that he had disturbing fantasies with his female partners. He left many of his pending projects behind, while others completely cut ties with him and basically fled the entertainment industry. His final film to date, Death on the Nile, was released in 2022. Hammer is now thought to be residing in the Cayman Islands and reportedly works in the timeshare selling business. Lastly, we have J-Lo. Last year on TikTok, there was a viral trend going around of fans exposing J-Lo horror stories, and some of these are shocking, so buckle up. One woman described her experience of helping J-Lo at Foot Locker. She said Lopez, quote, cussed me out because the store didn't have the correct size for the shoes she wanted to buy her kids, 14-year-old twins Emmy and Maximilian. But that was nothing compared to the story another woman had after Lopez came to stay in a house where she used to work as a maid. She described how a nail artist was called in to give Lopez a pedicure in bed, which the nail tech had to do upside down because Jennifer, who was laying on her stomach, refused to roll over onto her back.
Number 10, Colleen Ballinger. Let's get a YouTuber out of the way and then we'll get on to the good stuff. So, former YouTuber Colleen Ballinger was accused by several of her young fans as being a creepy creepo who just wanted to be their friend. Colleen is best known for her character Miranda Sings on YouTube, who became so popular that she got her own Netflix series. If you want to watch it, you'll need a VPN and you'll probably have to be in a very different country. She was basically messaging her fans to deliver so-called advice when she was really trying to just manipulate them into being minions and not the little yellow guys that we, are annoyed by. There was a massive amount of proof in the pudding. Fans had screenshots of conversations, with one fan even claiming that she sent him lingerie as a joke because, lace is hilarious. Following instant backlash from the world, Colleen decided to post an apology video online where she apologized while playing a ukulele. After this woman was shown being weird to kids, she was like, yes, let's go online and sing about it. In response to one of the cringiest apology videos of all time, her fans resurfaced a video that should have gotten her canceled a long time ago. A few years ago, she decided it would be an awesome idea during her live shows to sing and dance to Beyonce's Single Lady while painted black. Yeah, there is just a rough clip of Colleen barefooted on stage, flailing and waving about, and no one at that show thought that it was weird. The world's fantastic. She tried to make a comeback a couple of months ago, but failed miserably and is currently hiding in her home, steering clear of anyone who might recognize this terrible woman. Number 9, Ezra Miller. Ezra has been on the acting scene since 2008, appearing in movies like After School and Perks of Being a Wallflower, and they seemed like a normal person until around 2019, when cast and crew started noticing odd behavior from the actor on the set of The Flash. Their attitude shifted from happy to be here to, hey, I'm better than you guys, deal with it. They would often wear capes and robes to set that just weren't part of their costume, and reportedly were filled with scattered thoughts and motivations during filming and off screen. In 2020, a video surfaced of Miller in a violent altercation outside of a bar in Iceland, which would be the first of many videos that proved that Ezra's a little funny. Eventually, this led to Miller breaking and entering into someone's house in Hawaii, and I guess they were just chilly and couldn't find a blanket. I'm not sure what the motivation was there. Miller went on to run from Hawaiian authorities for over a week, supposedly squatting in abandoned buildings and sleeping on the beach, and they were eventually caught and charged with breaking and entering as well as aggravated swatting, as Miller had apparently gotten into a fist fight before breaking into the house. So hey, two birds, one stone. The Flash was released into theaters and it did okay, but it's looking like it's going to be the last time we see Miller on screen anytime soon. Number 8, James Franco. James placed himself in a bubble of public exile when he used his powers as a Hollywood superstar for evil. The man behind iconic characters like Tommy Wiseau, Harry Osborn, so many more, seemed to be on his way to a long, successful career following collaborations with his longtime friend Seth Rogen especially, as well as his turn in more serious roles like in True Story with Jonah Hill. Apparently though, James has a problem keeping his hands to himself, especially when it comes to his acting students, the female ones at least. In 2018, 5 female students at the Studio 4 acting school in North Hollywood told Los Angeles Times that Franco had used his position to exploit them physically. 2 of those women sued Franco, and he was forced to settle outside of court and pay them $2.23 million. And at the time that he was writing and acting and directing for a show called The Deuce on HBO, which was of course allowed to stay on because it was already being cancelled anyway, so nobody cared. Not only did fans ask for everything he was in to be cancelled, like the series, movies, everything, but the public outcry actually forced Seth Rogen to drop his longtime friend, and he told the Times of London that the scandal changed their relationship and he had no plans to collaborate with James anytime in the near future. Not sure if you've noticed, he hasn't been in any movie trailers recently. Number 7, Russell Brand. Russell is a rough man, okay? Even before the controversy surrounding his, misdeeds came up this year, this man has been unwelcomed at royal events, awards shows, birthday parties, anything and everything. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm really sorry to be the one to tell you, but Russell Brand is a terrible person. The man, best known as a comedian, a bringer of joy, has secretly been manipulative, aggressive, and at times violent, according to his ex-partners. Following the news that there was going to be a documentary about his life and career on BBC Channel 4, several complaints were filed alleging that Russell had mistreated them during their relationships. The allegations were actually reinforced by Russell's ex Katy Perry, who they dated for quite some time. They got engaged, I'm pretty sure they got married, and in that time she came to learn that Russell was short-tempered, opinionated, and stubborn, qualities that just do not make for a good partner. Russell's career was cancelled and he's currently awaiting trial, so rightfully so. Number 6, Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors is currently the man behind the purple cape of Kang in the MCU, but unfortunately for Majors, an ex has come forward and alleged that he was physically violent towards her while they were together. Since March of this year, Majors and his team have been adamant that the situation has been blown out of proportions, that there's really nothing to be upset about. In fact, in June, Majors filed his own cross-complaint accusing his accuser. Prosecutors refused these claims and told him that there were no plans to prosecute Grace Jabari, who was the woman who accused him. Majors was dropped from his agency, and so far his role on TV and film is pretty up in the air. This is a spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen Loki Season 2. The series ended with Kang no longer being He Who Remains, and it's actually pretty unclear about what's gonna happen next. There are rumors that his role will just be recasted, or that they will instead bring in the character Doctor Doom as the MCU's big bad. Either way, the trial is currently underway, with the information changing every other day. This dude's career is extremely up in the air, and who knows what's gonna happen next. Number 5, Jonah Hill. Jonah was once the funniest guy in town, shifting his efforts to the world of drama and creating a career that allowed him to be in both fields, funny and serious. Unfortunately for any fans of Jonah, some information came out this year that called his character into question. I want to remind everyone, these aren't my opinions on things, okay? These are just things that have happened in the world and are public knowledge, and this is what a lot of people are saying, okay? An ex-girlfriend of Jonah's posted screenshots from past conversations. The conversations ranged from Jonah asking her to tone down the photos she was posting on Instagram to asking her to not do her job. For those of you who don't know, his ex Sarah is a surfing instructor, and Jonah was asking her just not to surf with men while working, and that she wear more than a bikini while she did so. When Sarah released these screenshots, she underlined them, calling Jonah a narcissistic misogynist. And since the messages have been released, there has been a massive online debate as to where Jonah stands in the eyes of the public. Some people feel that canceling him entirely is just a bit much, and that compared to some other scandals from Hollywood, especially from this year alone, Jonah is relatively tame. But others want his name wiped from the face of the earth, never to be heard from again. Give and take, you know? So far, he hasn't been casted in any upcoming movies, he hasn't made any interview appearances, but he might honestly just be taking some time off to relax. Number 4, Chrissy Teigen. Chrissy canceled herself by being the meanest woman on the internet. In May of 2021, an individual by the name of Courtney Stodden, a pageant model and media personality, claimed that fellow model and media star Chrissy Teigen had publicly bullied them online for quite some time. Chrissy was accused of regularly tweeting that she wished Courtney would take a permanent dirt nap, or just straight up end herself. Apparently Chrissy harbored some kind of jealousy towards Courtney's success and decided to take it online instead of, not publicizing her personal issues. Chrissy quickly apologized for the tweets and DMs, which were sent as recently as 2019. In one of her last posts, she tweeted, "I'm sad and mortified at who I used to be. I was an insecure, attention-seeking troll. I am ashamed and completely embarrassed at my behavior, but it's nothing compared to how I made Courtney feel." Chrissy then decided to delete her social medias following a slew of backlash for her actions, eventually leading to her being fired from or leaving any job that she had, both on and off the screen. So next time, just keep your jealousy balled up deep down inside you, like the rest of us do. Maybe you'd still have a career. Number 3, Gina Carano. Gina was slowly building a name for herself in the early 2010s as a woman to be feared on screen. She portrayed characters like Riley Hicks in Fast and Furious, and her most recent role was Cara Dune in Mandalorian, a series that decided to move on without her for the simple fact that she is a little bit misguided on her views towards the world. In 2021, Carano made a series of politically charged social media posts posts, the most damning of which came when she compared modern American political polarization to camps, Germany, in 1945. Those are different things. To throw a cherry on top of this trashy Sunday, Gina also made her opinions on pronouns known, claiming that hers were beep boop beep. That's nice. Screw you, Gina! Those are mine. All of this combined eventually culminated in the hashtag FireGinaCarano on Twitter, which began trending fast, forcing Disney as well as her management company to cut their ties. Needless to say, The Mandalorian is doing just fine without her, and the rest of Hollywood is glad that she is out of the picture for now. Number 2, James Corden. Talk shows are pretty simple. You get a few cameras together in a nice studio with a solid band and some furniture, and you got a show. However, most talk shows don't include extravagant bits like street performances and singing in a trailer car thingy. They may be able to put it together and make us believe that it's all good, but this stuff costs a lot of money for people to pay. Crew, cast, catering, and even Corden himself, who apparently made $5 million a year on his program, The Late Late Show with James Corden. This is a lot considering that the show had a regular budget of $65 million a year, which is still huge, but has consistently only brought back $45 million in revenue. The only way the show could ever be able to stay on was if Corden himself took $1 million loss and brutal staff reductions. So instead, he opted to just cancel his show entirely, which would be one thing if it was his show, but it was The Late Late Show. It's been around since 1995, first being hosted by Tom Snyder. He took away something he didn't even create, and now instead of only some staff members having to lose their job, everybody lost their job, the show got canceled, and his career got canceled along with it. So far, he hasn't been asked to host any events, won any awards, and he hasn't been casted in any new Cat movies, thank God.
Number 10, MIA. It's pretty common knowledge that the primary viewers of the Super Bowl are composed of conservative America. Basically, this means you don't really want to be a problem as a performer at the show. Well, MIA, the singer known for her songs like Paper Planes and Bad Girls, appeared alongside Nicki Minaj and Madonna, who was the headliner for the show. It was going pretty alright, despite Madonna's pretty lackluster dancing, until a problem arose when MIA decided she was gonna flash a big old middle finger to the whole of football-loving conservative America. Now, the behavior isn't that shocking for the artist, and honestly, you'd miss the moment if you blinked, but conservative America was left feeling completely flabbergasted and outraged, and so was the NFL. The league responded by filing a lawsuit suing the rapper for millions of dollars in damages and demanding a public apology. If anything, this probably actually boosted the rapper's image. Number 9, Janet Jackson. In 2004, Janet Jackson took to the Super Bowl stage with Justin Timberlake joining her about halfway through the performance to perform Rock Your Body. It was a decent performance with a big bold finish that saw Timberlake out of literally nowhere rip one of Jackson's bra cups off, showing off half of the singer's bare chest. Supposedly, it was meant to be that Timberlake tore the rubber top off to reveal a red lace bra, which clearly was not the case, and he just ripped it all off for the world to see. The NFL was on it pretty quick, cutting the cameras as fast as possible, but the damage was done. About 540,000 complaints came in from viewers of the show, as if the NFL didn't notice this mess up. Jackson apologized for what became known as a wardrobe malfunction, and apologies from Timberlake poured out, followed by an interview with Oprah from Jackson. Nipplegate caused conspiracies as people theorized the whole thing was purposely staged to happen. I kinda doubt it. Luckily, no one really blamed Timberlake, even though he totally did it, but it kind of capsized Jackson's career. Number 8, Justin Timberlake, but for real this time. In 2018, Timberlake decided that he would make a video projection hologram of Prince as an homage to the late artist, a part of his show, despite the fact that the guy had literally promised that he would not do that. Timberlake sang "I Would Die For You" along with the video that also used a part of Prince's music video for Purple Rain. Fans of Prince specifically were outraged as they said this disrespected the artist. In a 1998 Guitar World interview, Prince specifically spoke about his dislike of using holograms for this exact reason. If you're gonna honor a guy, the best way you could do it is by not doing the thing that he doesn't like, but you did, which was stupid. Number 7, Maroon 5. Following the controversy surrounding Colin Kaepernick taking the knee for the national anthem and subsequently not getting signed for any NFL team, many musical artists decided to sit out the Super Bowl halftime show in 2019 in support of the player who was 100% in the right for his choice. However, Maroon 5 decided to be completely tone deaf and decided to take the stage out of the 2019 Super Bowl halftime show. They got in deep water for this choice, with critics believing all major artists artists should have boycotted the halftime show to support Kaepernick and punish any company that silenced protests, which is the right of any American. In response to the controversy, the band decided to give $500,000 to Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America, which is nice, but doesn't really have anything to do with the issue that was at hand. It painted a bad picture of the band members and hung over their heads for a long, long time. Number 6. Elvis Presto. This may as well just be a guy shooting his career in the foot. Before the time of Michael Jackson's crazy successful halftime show and its subsequent focus on pop stars, the main acts of the halftime shows varied wildly from year to year. As an example, in 1989, the halftime show was centered around a magic trick performing Elvis impersonator who called himself Elvis Presto. Elvis Presto, with 4 backup singers, performed a card trick where the audience was asked to pick from 4 cards based on how loud their applause was. There was no applause. It was just the absolute most boring and horrible halftime show that I can only imagine Elvis Presto just wasn't heard from for a hot minute afterwards. Number 5. Fergie. Speaking of the end of a career, in 2011, Fergie alongside the Black Eyed Peas were leading the Super Bowl halftime show with their special guest, Slash. Yes, Slash from Guns N' Roses. Going from their signature dance music to straight up classic rock was an interesting change of pace, but it got quite a bit worse when Fergie belted out Sweet Child of Mine alongside the guitarist, giving it what I'm sure was her best shot. But it just didn't go that well. It was not a sweet child, it was a child with a temper tantrum. Fans of the band almost universally revolted for the horrible rendition, and it was just not a good time. Not too long after this, Fergie took to the NBA floor to sing the national anthem, and while it was good for the first bit, it just kinda went off the rails towards the end, and unfortunately these 2 performances just didn't help her career, and she hasn't really recovered since. Number 4. Christina Aguilera. Singing the national anthem in front of a worldwide audience of well over 100 million people is not easy, as proven by Christina Aguilera, who really should be able to keep it together. This was actually before the kickoff of the Super Bowl. Aguilera's voice boomed through the stadium, and it was amazing, as it usually is, but she made the mistake of singing the wrong words at the wrong time. The star confused Over the Ramparts We Watched We're So Gallantly Streaming with What So Proudly We Watched at the Twilight's Last Gleaming. Aguilera later complained that she lost her place during the song, but no matter the reason, it was still one of the worst national anthem performances ever, which for the conservative watchers of the bowl is just not okay. Number 3. The Rock. Not a halftime show moment, and also not really a cancellation, but it was just weird. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was brought in to hype up the Los Angeles crowd just before the Rams and the Bengals kicked off the Super Bowl 56. He brought his usual showmanship to the field and delivered a very intense speech to the crowd, but NFL fans and Super Bowl viewers still found the monologue kinda strange. Members of the Bengals and the Rams obviously did as well. The NFL captured mic'd up footage of the Bengals and Rams reacting to The Rock's monologue, with Joe Burrow's quote probably best summing it all up when he said, quote, "What is he doing out there?" And then, on top of that, Zach Taylor was spotted cracking up at Johnson, while Aaron Donald was told, quote, "That's going to be you in 10 years, your acting career." I thought his speech was fine, but for some reason, seemingly the whole stadium turned on him that day. Poor guy. Number 2. Kanye West. No, he never performed at the halftime show for the Super Bowl, but that's not what we're talking about. Kanye is not new to being cancelled, but in 2022, he attended the Super Bowl a few hours after the artist and designer shared several posts targeting his ex-wife, Kim Kardashian, and her new boyfriend, Pete Davidson. And this was only shortly after the rapper dissed the comedian in a song. When he showed up at the Super Bowl, the artist made the bold choice of wearing what looks like a black sack over his head, with some people just assuming that he was hiding after his interactions with Pete and Kim. But everyone knew who he was, obviously, and when he was shown on the Jumbotron with his kids sitting next to him, the crowd at the game let them know that they were not fans of his as they booed and roared out all over. This didn't get him cancelled, but his actions from this point and going forward have just caused the artist to be universally cancelled ever since. Number 1. The Right Shark. In the 2015 halftime show, Katy Perry took to the stage and her whole thing was just a fever dream of an extremely colorful vacation. It was wild. What made it so much fun though was the 2 backup dancing sharks that Katy had behind her while singing Teenage Dream. Specifically, the world focused on the left shark, who seemed to just be having a rough time. He couldn't match the pace of the song, and he was just constantly seeming to make up brand new dance moves all of his own. A mascotted shark that doesn't know what the hell is going on is just so much fun, and it's all anyone could talk about for days after. But by contrast, the right shark was doing great, but his fishy friends stole the show to the point that people accused the right shark of being boring. The right shark was just doing his job, but because of his lack of imagination, he will never work in this town again.
In at number 10, Lana Del Rey. The beginning of the end for Lana Del Rey started with a letter that was a question for the culture. At the start of the letter she posted, Lana said, "Now that Doja Cat, Ariana, Camila, Cardi B, Kalani, and Nicki Minaj and Beyonce have had #1 songs about being sexy, wearing no clothes, cheating, etc., can I please go back to singing about being embodied, feeling beautiful by being in love, even if the relationship is not perfect, or dancing for money or whatever I want, without being crucified or saying that I'm glamorizing abuse." This letter came after she was criticized for being anti-feminist and glamorizing abuse in her most recent album. However, this letter led to her being cancelled by the general public on Twitter because the majority of the artists that she mentioned were of color, which is why we saw the very punny hashtag, if you will, of Lana Del Racist starting to trend on Twitter. She did clarify later on that post was not meant to be racist and that she loves all of those artists, but the haters just weren't having any of it. In at number 9, Jeffree Star. Jeffree Star's cosmetics company has brought in hundreds of millions of dollars, and according to Forbes, he is now one of the most powerful figures in the industry. Star first rose to fame when his makeup vlogs on YouTube became very popular. From there, he went on to launch his own cosmetics line, but before that though, he was a modestly successful MySpace musician for a brief period of time. However, now that he is intertwined with all of the drama happening in the beauty community, he's being bombarded with hatred. Rightfully so. Cameron Lester called him and Shane Dawson out for using him as their token black friend for videos, and from there it just got worse. Shane and Jeffree's troublesome friendship really came about when Shane wanted to document Star in what would be called the beautiful world of Jeffree Star. Following Cameron's video, Jeffree left him a voicemail and denied his allegations against him. The voicemail was leaked to drama channels and contributed to the negative way that would soon erupt after Shane acknowledged the rumors about his role in the feud between Charles Westbrook and Star. In at number 8, Lea Michele. Something that adds to the pressure of filming is who you have to work with. If you're working in a toxic environment day after day and the person bullying you is the star, this can have some nasty outcomes. Lea Michele, for example, has been accused by several people for being an absolute nightmare to work with. Her co-star Matthew Morrison appeared via Zoom on Fubar Radio's Access All Areas and was asked about Lea's bullying, and he seemed to get visibly uncomfortable. He immediately attempted to downplay the accusations and shift topics by saying that bigger issues are going on in the world right now, which he's not wrong, but this is also something that we need to discuss. Here's a prime example of why the cast has had such a terrible time following the show. I think that whatever went on behind the scenes was kept very hidden from the public. They play these cheerful high school kids, but in reality they were all just adults with demons. Now, with Matt not acknowledging the accusations made against Lea and covering for her, it only discredits what these people have said about the former Glee star. In at number 7, Bryan Adams. It's safe to say that Bryan Adams will always remember the summer of COVID-19. I hope someone gets that joke. The 60-year-old Canadian singer stirred a ton of controversy after having to cancel a 3-night stint of shows in London. In the tweet he said, "Tonight was supposed to be the beginning of a tendency of gigs at the Royal Albert Hall, but thanks to some bat-eating, wet-mark, animal-selling, virus-making greedy bastards, the whole world is now on hold." Okay? Now, regardless of where the coronavirus came from, it's tweets like this that are causing a violent energy, if you will, towards Asian Americans. Oddly enough, Adams got more annoying when he tried to spin this tweet into an advocacy for a vegan diet. This really upset a lot of people, and rightfully so, and one user even commented, "Did not have Bryan Adams tweets racist bullshit as a 2020 moment, but here it is, right before our very eyes." In at number 6, Vanessa Hudgens. Vanessa Hudgens has had some major issues with her fans after departing from her once innocent Disney image. Her fans loved her in High School Musical, but when she started doing films like Spring Breakers, it seemed like she was trying too hard to break that image. When the lockdown started happening, she got herself into even more trouble while doing some Instagram live streams with her fans. Her fans were asking how she felt about the quarantine, and Hudgens said,
"Even if everybody gets it, like, yeah, people are gonna die. It's just terrible, but like, inevitable?"
At that point in time, no one really had any idea when these lockdowns would be lifted. You could clearly tell that she was annoyed by the inconvenience of needing to lock down to protect the sick and vulnerable. It's like, oh, sorry, Vanessa. But this kind of selfish behavior was frowned upon by many, believe it or not, including whatever fans that she had left. She did try to salvage her career by tweeting this reply that said, "Hey guys, I'm so sorry for the way I have offended anyone and everyone who has seen the clip from my Instagram live yesterday. I realize my words were insensitive and not at all appropriate for the situation our country and the world are in in right now. This has been a huge wake-up call about the significance my words have, now more than ever. I'm sending safe wishes to everyone to stay safe and healthy during this crazy time. No mention of the, it's like inevitable that everyone will die. That's my impression of Vanessa Hudgens drunk on her Instagram live feed. Hit number 5, Jenna Marbles. Jenna has been on YouTube for a very long time, and after multiple videos of hers blew up, she really began garnering millions of subscribers. 20 million to be more precise. Although in a video titled A Message, Jenna addressed the controversy of her older content. She apologized for the video that she made impersonating Nicki Minaj in 2011, where she donned blackface and went on to say,
"My intention to do blackface. I do want to tell you how unbelievably sorry I am if I ever offended you by posting this video."
In response to the outcry on the internet to have her cancelled, Jenna archived the old videos and announced that she would be stepping away from the channel. She said that she doesn't know if it's forever, but she wants to make sure that the things she puts out into the world aren't hurting anyone. In at number 4, Shane Dawson. After what happened to George Floyd, America went into civil unrest and the people demanded answers from law enforcement. Along with that, however, comes the necessary task of curating our culture to get rid of the problematic people who only add fuel to that fire. Get rid of sounds awful, but what I mean is hold them responsible so that we can admit our mistakes and move forward as a society. The weirdest part about Shane Dawson doing blackface is that he's done it on more than one occasion, and done so in a time where we thought that people would be more tolerant. Even weirder is that when he apologized for taking his sketches too far with blackface, a bunch of his white fans were like, "Oh, we forgive you." Sorry to say this, but that apology wasn't meant for you. It's meant for the people that he was mocking, and I don't think letting this one slide is a wise idea. There have been so many red flags with Shane Dawson, but this one should have been the final straw. However, it wasn't, so he continued on as if nothing happened. In at number 3, Jimmy Fallon. Tonight Show host Jimmy Fallon apologized for doing an impersonation of fellow comic Chris Rock while in blackface during a 2000 episode of Saturday Night Live. Discussions of Jimmy's 20-year-old skit surfaced after a video of it was posted online. According to entertainment trade media outlet Variety, it was first posted on Twitter by a user named Chef Boy O'Dear, if you believe that's his name. Great name. And he showed Fallon as Chris Rock appearing on a talk show. When the clip began to go viral, many people called for Fallon to be fired from The Tonight Show altogether, although instead he just issued a lengthy apology. Fallon tweeted, "In 2000, while on SNL, I made a terrible decision to do an impersonation of Chris Rock while in blackface. There is no excuse for this. I am very sorry for making this unquestionably offensive decision, and thank you all for holding me accountable." In at number 2, Ellen DeGeneres. When Kevin Porter tweeted out, "Right now we all need a little kindness," you know, like Ellen DeGeneres always talks about. She's also notoriously one of the meanest people alive. Respond to this with the most insane stories you've heard about Ellen being mean, and I'll match everyone with $2 to LA Food Bank. And the response was overwhelming. However, for this point, let's just focus in on the ones about the bizarre rules for her staff, because that alone was enough to get her cancelled. Benjamin Simon said, "A, she has a sensitive nose, so everyone must chew gum from a bowl outside of her office before talking to her, and if she thinks you smell that day, you have to go home and shower." You have to go home and shower. Who does that? What a weird power move. You smell, so stop doing work for me, go home, shower, and then come back and stay late. Chelsea Babcock said, "When I was working on At Midnight, our stage manager told us to never work for Ellen. He told us she has signs up in her office that say, 'Do not look the host in the eye.' I'm sorry, but that's far from normal. Don't look her in the eye? What bizarre rules to have. How is she still tweeting, you know? Is she tweeting? I don't know. I feel like she's hiding in a cave somewhere at this point. Last but certainly not least, our number 1 spot, Kylie Jenner. Following the release of Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion's very explicit new track, fans were taken by surprise with a cameo by Kylie Jenner. Many were waiting for her to start singing or something, but other people were fuming with anger for many other reasons. Beyond fears of Kylie busting out a verse on the track, many were calling her a culture vulture. Several memes were throwing shade at the appearance of Kylie and suggested that it was just another example of a white woman pulling the focus away from a black collaboration. That being said, you can't blame Cardi B for wanting to absolutely blow this song up with publicity, and she did just that. Having this many stars in your video is bound to have it shared a bunch of times, especially if there is even an ounce of controversy in any one of them. So far, a petition on change.org to cancel Kylie and have her removed from the song is at 67,000 signatures.
At number 10, Karlie Kloss. The Met Gala is all about fashion, and those who attend the event are usually trying to pull off the best look that fits the theme for that year. There have been many extravagant looks and other more simplistic ones, but the overall point here is to try going along with the overall energy of the event. One person actually faced backlash for not really trying hard enough to meet the event standard, and that was Karlie Kloss, who people say ignored the 2019 Met Gala camp theme. Karlie showed up to the event looking a little too simple for the event, wearing a black and gold dress with simple jewelry, natural makeup, and a simple hairstyle. A lot of fans were seriously let down by her outfit that evening, especially after she tweeted about her look, hyping it up and saying, quote, "looking camp right in the eyes." As strange as it might sound, Carly's fans got pretty upset that she didn't really follow the Met's theme and faced a pretty decent amount of criticism. She had to kind of apologize for her look shortly after, as she posted a video to her YouTube channel addressing the situation, saying that she should have tried harder. At number 9, Sarah Jessica Parker. Every year the Met Gala chooses a theme, and those who attend the event are urged to show up in some kind of couture that fits said theme. For a lot of celebrities, they either work alongside some designers to come up with the perfect look for the gala, but sometimes these looks can go too far and end up offending people in the process. Take for example some of the Met Gala looks from 2015. The theme of the gala that year was China through the looking glass, and a lot of people found that many of the stars who attended the event that night were appropriating Chinese culture. Among one of the most heavily criticized celebrities was Sarah Jessica Parker. At the event, Sarah wore a custom black gown with a large headpiece, and this bold accessory faced quite a lot of backlash. The headpiece was criticized for its quote dragon lady stereotype, something that sexualizes and villainizes Chinese women. A lot of fans made the point that these celebrities could have just worn pieces from Chinese designers to fit the theme rather than appropriate the culture. Now before I carry on talking about these cancelled celebrities, I'd first like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it, because it really helps the channel out. At number 8, Carolina Kakova. I just told you about one celebrity who faced backlash for cultural appropriation at the Met Gala, but I have another one to tell you about that actually happened on the same night. Since the theme for the 2015 Met Gala was China through the looking glass, a lot of people came dressed in altered versions of traditional Chinese garments, and it offended a lot of people. Another guest who got a lot of hate for their outfit that night was model Carolina Kakova, because she came in a sexualized version of a cheap how. Much like a lot of other celebrities who showed up that night, their looks faced a lot of backlash because normally these looks affect women from this culture negatively, and the double standard of these other people being praised was seen as hurtful and offensive. These garments have a history behind them, and so disrespecting this part of Chinese culture was also obviously not well received. At number 7, Madonna. In the past, there have been many scandalous looks at the Met Gala. Oftentimes, we see celebrities push the boundaries of fashion, and sometimes their looks can be very revealing, but it looks like one celebrity went too far with how revealing their Met look was one year, and that person is Madonna. The singer is known to be pretty bold, but at the 2016 Met Gala, people think that she was a little too bold because her look revealed quite a lot. When she hit the red carpet, Madonna was seen wearing a black bodysuit that revealed her chest and backside, worn underneath a lace overlay. She also wore leather thigh-high boots and a bejeweled headband and layered necklaces. After facing backlash for the fact that her chest was exposed, she supported the look by saying that it was a political statement. She clapped back at the criticism on her Instagram, where she said, quote, "We have fought and continue to fight for civil rights and gay rights around the world. When it comes to women's rights, we are still in the dark ages. My dress at the Met Ball was a political statement as well as a fashion statement. The fact that people actually believe a woman is not allowed to express her sexuality and be adventurous past a certain age is proof that we still live in an ageist and sexist society. I have never thought in a limited way, and I'm not going to start." At number 6, Amal Clooney. As I mentioned a little earlier, a lot of times celebrities work alongside designers to achieve their looks for the Met Gala. The relationships that these stars have with their designers is pretty important for their careers, and so they usually don't want to jeopardize that. But Amal Clooney did in 2018, and she got some backlash for it. When Amal first showed up to the event, she was dressed in an ensemble by Richard Quinn that consisted of navy pants, a silver top, and a floral skirt. But after doing a quick change, she re-emerged wearing a dress designed by Tom Ford. Apparently, Tom was furious that Amal didn't wear his design when she did her initial red carpet walk. It caused some drama in the fashion world, but from what I understand, it's all water under the bridge now. At number 5, Rihanna. Rihanna is one of those stars who people really look forward to seeing walk the red carpet at the Met Gala. She rocks every look that she presents at the gala, but one year, instead of getting praise for her outfit, she actually ended up getting a lot of backlash. In 2018, Rihanna showed up to the event wearing a very extravagant Pope-inspired look, and it did not go over well. The look was an ensemble by Margiela that consisted of a strapless mini dress, trench coat, and large headdress. That night, a lot of Catholics took issue with Rihanna's look, with some of them calling the ensemble, quote, sacrilegious, and saying that it appropriated their religion. Ironically, this isn't the first time that the singer has been accused of appropriating religion. She's also faced backlash for appropriating Hindu culture as well, as earlier this year she was seen wearing a necklace with a Hindu god depicted on it, and she's also faced scrutiny after she used a controversial song with Islamic verses in it in her Fenty show. At number 4, Scarlett Johansson. At the 2018 Met Gala, actress Scarlett Johansson caused a bit of controversy for the dress that she wore to the event. Not because of what it looked like, but because of who who designed it. The actress wore an off-the-shoulder dress with flower embellishments, and though it was a beautiful gown, a lot of people couldn't get past who made the garment. The dress was designed by Georgia Chapman, Harvey Weinstein's ex-wife. Scarlett's look came from Georgia's brand Marchesa, and the actress became one of the first people to support the brand and the designer after the allegations against Harvey Weinstein came out. People were torn over this because some people believe that Scarlett shouldn't have supported Georgia's design because of her ties to Weinstein, but others thought that it was a bit ridiculous because Georgia was never personally involved in any of the allegations, so some people didn't really think it mattered. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. At number 3, James Charles. YouTuber and influencer James Charles attended the Met Gala in 2019 and got some backlash for what he wore and for being a bit of a hypocrite as well. When he arrived at the event, James was wearing an outfit by Alexander Wang that consisted of a black bandana, black cargo pants, and a see-through shirt that was made entirely of safety pins. It was an interesting look, but after the event, fashion critics pointed out that James's look was very similar to one that Zoe Kravitz had worn to the 2019 Vanity Fair Oscar party. Ironically, James had made a video with Tana Mongeau where they criticized that very look, where they said that it looked like, quote, she didn't finish getting dressed. End quote. As expected, James faced backlash for the comments that he made about Zoe's outfit and for also copying the look and being a hypocrite by wearing something so similar to another look that he roasted. At number 2, Kim Kardashian. Kim K is always trying to serve looks at the Met. I mean, this year's look was a little questionable with her all-black Balenciaga ensemble that made her look like a Dementor, but that's besides the point. Every look is subject to criticisms, but the one look that brought Kim the most backlash was her dripping wet look from the Met Gala in 2019. At the event, Kim was seen wearing a Mugler dress that made it look like she had just walked out of water, but she was also wearing a mega corset that cinched her waist so much that she faced backlash for it. Kim is often facing scrutiny for her support of waist trainers, with people saying that it's affecting the way that young people are seeing beauty, so her super cinched look just added to that fire. Fans said that Kim's body looked super unrealistic and it wasn't a good thing to show the public, but she and the designer defended the look, saying that the over-the-top nature of the entire ensemble was just made to fit the event's camp theme. And finally, at number 1, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The most buzz that has come out of the 2021 Met Gala is coming from New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. AOC showed up to the event wearing a white dress that had the words "Tax the Rich" written in red on the back. It was designed to be a political statement about the ongoing debate on whether the wealthiest people should be paying taxes like the rest of us peons, but instead of sparking the conversation about it, people are calling AOC a hypocrite for trying to make this statement at an event that is attended by Hollywood elites who pay 30 grand for a ticket. A lot of people may have takes on this, but what is yours? Do you think that AOC went about this statement all wrong, or was her bold move a good thing? I think that even though it's coming back to bite her, that bold move still accomplished something and it has people talking, so maybe it wasn't all bad. At number 10, toxic workplace. Allegations of a toxic work environment was the scandal that really started it all. There had been some buzz surrounding how Ellen treats others, whether that be guests on her show or employees, but things really started to pick up when real people started coming forward about how they were being treated while working at the Ellen show. A number of former employees came forward to expose Ellen for being a horrible boss. Some people brought up how she would use racial microaggressions and how she would pick on each one of her employees. Actor Benjamin Simon came forward with 6 stories about Ellen that showed the world just how mean she really is and how disrespectful she is to her staff. Benjamin tweeted out about how Ellen reportedly has a, quote, sensitive nose and requires everyone to chew gum before talking to her, and will also order people to go home and shower if she doesn't like the way you smell. He also added that Ellen would make a point of picking on a different employee every day, and that when she's in a bad mood, she gets staff members to come to her office and forces them to do comedy bits for her to cheer her up by laughing at them. Benjamin also said that if Ellen doesn't like the monologue that someone wrote for her that day, she will throw it on the floor, refusing to do it. These and countless other stories revealed to the public just how toxic things are over at the Ellen show, and this first scandal marks the beginning of the comedian's downfall. At number 9, quarantine comments. In April last year, when everyone was stuck inside during the world's first COVID lockdown, a lot of people started working from home, including Ellen DeGeneres. The Ellen show was being broadcast from her home, and on April 6th, during her opening monologue, Ellen made some comments about her quarantine experience that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. During the episode, Ellen compared her experience of staying in her home to being in jail, saying, quote, "One thing I've learned from being in quarantine is that this is like being in jail. It is what it is.
It's mostly because I've been wearing the same clothes for 10 days and everyone here is gay. These comments were not taken very well by the public, and the comedian faced a lot of backlash for comparing her experience of quarantining in her California mansion to living in incarceration, where COVID infections are already incredibly high. Her comments were seen as offensive to those currently living in incarceration because their lives are more greatly at risk because of the infection rates, and a lot of people interpreted her monologue as making fun of those who aren't as privileged to be living in a mansion like she is. At number 8, Hollywood mean streak. After Ellen was exposed for her toxic workplace environment, people started coming forward with their horror stories of the comedian. At first, former employees were jumping on the Ellen is over party trend, but soon some celebrities started commenting on their experiences with Ellen, and a lot of them reminded the public that Ellen's bad attitude isn't anything new. For years, celebrities have known about Ellen's Hollywood mean streak, and some of them have come forward to expose her. Fellow comedian Kathy Griffin has been very outspoken about Ellen's mean streak and even wrote about it in her book, Kathy Griffin's Celebrity Run-Ins, My A to Z Index. In her book, she dished about some awful run-ins that she's had with Ellen, detailing some of the mean things she's done to her. In the book, she wrote, quote, "I can't prove it, but this person who has short blonde hair has a mean streak that all of Hollywood knows about." But it's not just Kathy who says Ellen's mean streak has been common knowledge, as comedian Brad Garrett also chimed in to speak his truth about who Ellen really is behind the scenes. After Ellen issued an apology to her staff members, which we will talk about later, some people weren't buying into this declaration, including Brad Garrett. In response to Ellen's apology, he tweeted saying, quote, "Sorry, but it comes from the top, at The Ellen Show. No more than one were treated horribly by her. Common knowledge." Maybe he was speaking from experience having worked in the same industry as her, or because he had been a guest on her show a few times in the mid-2000s. The fact that he and Kathy, as well as a few other celebrities, called Ellen's mean streak common knowledge really helped prove that it's not just her employees who've had bad experiences with her. At number 7, lockdown layoffs. During the first lockdown the world experienced last spring, there were a lot of changes in many workplaces. Some people were transitioning to working from home, and many others sadly lost their jobs. This was a very uncertain time for a lot of people, including many Ellen Show employees, because of a huge lack in communication. Shortly after the show made their transition from the studio to home, news came out reporting about how Ellen Show employees had been replaced by non-union workers in order to cut down on the cost of paying their other employees. As a result, a lot of employees were left in the dark and without pay for a few weeks, which just angered more people and made Ellen look worse. At this point, she was not only experiencing backlash for being a bully towards her employees, but also for causing layoffs as well as pay deductions. At number 6, racial injustice tweet. At the height of the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020, many celebrities were coming forward to talk about the racial injustices many black people around the world have been facing. Some of them tweeted about it, others went to protest, but overall, most of them tried to do their part by spreading awareness. Ellen tried to do this, but it didn't go over very well, as many people thought she missed the mark with her BLM tweet. In her later deleted tweet about racial injustice, Ellen said, quote, "Like so many of you, I am angry, I am sad. People of color in this country have faced injustice for far too long. For things to change, we must change. We must commit ourselves to this change with conviction and love." A lot of people didn't like how she used the term people of color instead of just saying black people, as the movement was surrounding the racism that black people have endured and continue to endure. After deleting the post, Ellen corrected herself by issuing another tweet showing her support for the Black Lives Matter protests and also pledging to donate to a handful of charities and organizations. At number 5, privilege. While people were still discussing how Ellen was really behind the scenes, the theme of privilege came up and a lot of people called her out for it. After her tone-deaf joke about comparing life in quarantine to life in incarceration, people kept looking for more examples of how she lives such a privileged life. And one person came forward with an example that shocked a lot of people. Back in May last year, a former Ellen Show producer spoke out about how Ellen once called Steve Jobs personally to complain about the font size on the iPhone. This came after Ellen lost her glasses and was having trouble reading the text on her phone. The former producer recalled the incident saying, quote, "She stopped everything and made a call. Next thing we know, we literally hear Steve Jobs pick up and say, 'Hi, Ellen.'" Ellen told him the iPhone should have bigger font. He continues saying, quote, "That's her. It's not that she's some demon. She just lives in an incredibly privileged bubble and is out of touch with the real world." At number 4, apology fail. Following all the backlash that she'd been receiving, when The Ellen Show made its return after a quarantine hiatus, Ellen had to make amends for her actions and had to address some of the allegations against her, like misconduct and workplace toxicity. During her opening monologue, the comedian issued an apology for the things that she'd been accused of, but it didn't really go over well with her audience. During her apology, Ellen admitted that she was, quote, a work in progress, and that she wasn't aware of the negativity in her workplace. Ellen also joked that she isn't a good enough actress to, quote, come out here every day for 17 years and fool you. People didn't like how she mostly deflected and made jokes about the situation she was caught in, rather than owning up to her actions, which really just made her look worse in the public's eye and added to her growing criticism. At number 3, Nikki Tutorial's interview. One of the instances that was sort of the fuel for this Ellen is Over party fire was YouTuber Nikki Tutorial's testimony about how she was treated after she was invited on the show in January last year. During an interview in March of last year, Nikki spoke out about the atmosphere at The Ellen Show, saying, quote, the friendly, welcoming atmosphere you see when watching Ellen isn't the reality in the studio. Nikki said that she was expecting a warm welcome when arriving at the studio, but that she was instead, quote, greeted by an angry intern who was a bit overworked. Nikki also told sources that she didn't receive the same VIP treatment as everyone else, saying that she couldn't even use the bathroom closest to her because it was reserved for the Jonas Brothers, who were also on the show that day. She also commented on Ellen's personality, saying that she was very cold and distant when the cameras were off, making for a very different vibe on the show. This was a very different response than people were expecting, so this became big news, which later escalated into a much bigger scandal. At number 2, Dakota Johnson interview. The other incident many people think of as the beginning of the Ellen is Over party comes from actress Dakota Johnson's 2019 interview with the comedian. During the interview, Ellen berated Dakota about the fact that she wasn't invited to Dakota's birthday party, and many people saw this whole debate as incredibly unnecessary and uncalled for. Dakota stood her ground during the interview, shutting Ellen down and not being made to look like the bad guy like Ellen intended, but this also showed how Ellen can sometimes go too far. Fans didn't like the way that the actress was treated during her time on the show, and after Ellen was cancelled, some saw this as justice for Dakota because Ellen was no longer able to get away with behaving like this. And finally, at number 1, Twitter. At the height of Ellen's cancellation, podcaster Kevin T. Porter sent out a tweet asking for people to share their horror stories about the comedian, and he said that he would make a $2 donation to a food bank for every insane story he received. Because of this tweet, a lot of people came forward talking about their bad experiences with Ellen, and this really added most of the heat to Ellen's growing fire. It wasn't just former employees and celebrities who came forward either. Fans and other people who have encountered Ellen off camera were also coming forward to recount some of their horrible experiences with her. Because of the amount of people who tweeted in response to this prompt, it caused this scandal to grow bigger and bigger, painting Ellen to look more and more like a villain, as news sources started picking up on the biggest and most outrageous stories to report on. Kevin's tweet received 2,800 replies, along with over 17,000 retweets and over 70,000 likes. This tweet blew up and made the scandal erupt to become even bigger than anyone thought it would, and caused immeasurable damage to Ellen's career. If it wasn't for this massive attention this tweet got, Ellen's career might not have been as damaged as it is now.